You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Nostalgic Gaming Stories. Today I'm going to be talking about a simpler time in gaming, where Halo 3 was the current Halo and everyone was playing it. Back in the day, Halo didn't have a file browser. Instead, what they had was Bungie.net, which is still a thing, but isn't used for the same reasons because Bungie no longer owns Halo. Bungie.net was the site where you could go, view other people's gamer cards, join Spartan clans, and download maps that people have posted, as well as other screenshots and things. Basically, you could look at file share as a whole for everyone. And there wasn't a whole lot of regulation back then. Whether that be because they didn't care or because they hadn't caught on to it, I find the latter less likely. I think maybe they were just chill about it with Halo 3. What came from that is there were several modded maps and other things you could download. Modded maps, modded screenshots, modded game types. A very common thing with these mods was placing elites and Spartans on the map that you could kill and interact with, as well as weapons that weren't able to be used outside of specific game types in those game types they don't belong in, such as the Oddball Skull or Covenant Flag. There were other ones where they'd mod in invisible weapons, weapons that didn't previously exist, like a turret you could shoot out of your head to make a boat move. There was a mod to play Forge in custom games, so you didn't have to have a team. There was a mod to have an insta-respawn. There was a mod to have a flamethrower when you spawn. There was a mod to spawn with no weapons. There was all sorts of mods. There were crazy map mods that made these big, long, tubular tunnels. And you gotta remember, this was Halo 3. You could do a whole hell of a lot less with Forge. You couldn't really build structures, or at least the ones you could were very limited, so people would use assets that you can't use and put them all over the place. There was a modded game type to have two swords. This was really fun, and it was something that a lot of people knew about, and everyone did. There was all sorts of crazy things you could do. People would mod the names of the game types to have all sorts of symbols you couldn't put in them. People would mod flood forms onto the map. All sorts of crazy stuff you could do, and you could all interact with it. It was very fun, and, it made custom games all that much more interesting. You could only really use these on custom games because anything else obviously wasn't allowed, and if you modded in matchmaking, you'd get banned. Also, if you posted a lot of these mods to your file share, they'd get banned, but they'd still be up on Bungie.net. For instance, I insistently tried to put a modded screenshot on my file share multiple times, but it constantly kept getting taken down until I was suspended from file sharing for a couple of weeks. Nevertheless, this was one of the more fun things with Halo 3. All sorts of fun things happened with Halo 3, which I will be getting into in later episodes. But the mods were gone with Halo Reach. There were a few name mods on the game types, but nothing really more. Although in Halo 4, 343 went full force and let you play modded game types again, things like Godzillicide or Tiny Spartans, which they later made into an official game type, even though it started as a mod. It was pretty damn fun, and if you don't remember it, you're definitely missing out. Obviously, on the screen here, I've shown footage of a few select things to do with the mods. I recorded quite a bit more footage than I'm going to use, more than likely, because I'm not going to have enough voiceover to go with it, but I am thinking of streaming it, and I may have already streamed it by the time you're watching it, just so you guys can see these things. And there were modded obstacle courses, all sorts of crazy fun stuff, and something that I feel was a much simpler time, when you could play mods on a console without having to be a modder yourself. And without having to have a JTAG. You could play these on perfectly normal consoles, and in fact, the console I used to play this is not modded. The mods are just the maps themselves, and I didn't make them. Like I said, I downloaded them from Bungie.net back in the day, and still have them to this day. There were all sorts of fake mods that people made claiming you could get Recon, which was utter bullshit, although everyone has Recon now. At least everyone who's had Halo 3 for a certain period of time. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys play modded Halo maps? Did you guys do things like this? Let me know in the comments below, and you have a great day.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red-Eye.